Here's the parts list. So this is just a regular 10-gallon tank you can buy at Walmart or wherever you want to buy it. This is 1/2 inch CPVC right here. This is 3/4 inch CPVC. We learned that when the water is falling, you want the pipe to get bigger because the water isn't as pressurized. You want a little more space for it to fall through so it doesn't get restricted. This is just a cup from Walmart. This is an old trampoline net, a piece of an old trampoline net that we had around that we cut the filter out of. This is just a regular bubbler that came with the I don't know if you can see that. It came with the aquarium we bought, and it has 2 hose fittings so that we can have a bubbler for each of the 2 bubble pumps we need, one to the aquarium and one to the plants. The perlite we bought at like Lowe's. It's just comes in a big bag. It doesn't cost very much. This was a cup we had around, and my wife saw it yesterday. She said, "What did you do that to my cup for?" We've had it for a long time, like that. This was an old orange juice container that we had around, so we cut it and made the holes so that the water had somewhere to fall into. And this was like a big plastic tote from IKEA we happened to have around. So in total, we probably have maybe $20 into the whole setup, maybe $25, and a lot of time of just messing around with different fittings, or trying the pumps different, or trying the heights of the pump different. One of the things we learned is you never want to glue the PVC because you'll always adjust it just a little bit, and once you glue it, then it's harder to deal with, and it's not pressurized so much that it's going to break if it's not glued. So we never glue the PVC, and I think it's pretty much it. The rocks we had was just gravel we had in the yard. So that's pretty much the parts list. So this is the way the bubble pump actually works. So we have a little piece of, this is an old one we're not using anymore. We cut the pipe. That's where I said we never glue it. We broke the pipe, now this is ruined because the fitting's in there. But we just drill a hole in there, and I can't remember the size of the drill bit, but it's whatever fit this thing.
Hole right there.
And then you put this in, and you don't want it, if you look inside there, you don't want it all the way in so that it will that it can't bubble. You want it to be just a little ways in, and then what we use is we use these little zip ties. We zip tie it to the side so that hopefully it doesn't move too much. So that's the way the bubble pumps are actually set up. There's it creates the bubbles inside there, and then the bubbles have to rise because they have to go to the top of the water. And whatever water's above it, the bubbles push it up and kind of draw it up with binding to the outside of the bubbles. So it's pretty cool the way the bubble pump works.
Yeah.
So whenever you're trying to dry water off the bottom of the aquarium, one of the things that happens is you need to drill some holes in a PVC pipe so that it can suck the water in. If you turn the holes up like this, what happens is you get little pieces of junk that fall down in there, and they tend to get clogged up faster. So we would either, if we had them set up like this, we would turn them all down. That way the junk could fall on the top here, and then the water could get sucked around. And we found that it get clogged up a lot less whenever we did that.
There's holes.
And there's the holes at the bottom. The ideal thing we found was to put the holes. Problem though then is sometimes those get down against the bottom and they can't draw as well. So what we started doing is we put holes on either side, so that there were just a line of holes on either side. That was kind of the best mix between not having stuff fall in the top, but being able to get a lot of pressure sucking it in from the sides and not getting sucking stuff up off the bottom. So yeah,
There's some falling out.
Yeah, there's more junk falling out. There's always a little bit of perlite around. We tried a double bubble pump at one point with 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and with the bubblers we had, we found that the 1/2 inch this is actually CPVC, not PVC, I should say that. With the 1/2 inch CPVC pipe, a single hole is just right to create the right amount of
So was it too
lift you
powerful?
had. This wasn't too powerful. The problem is the pipe's too big. So as the pipe gets bigger, you have to have more bubbles inside so that you can get the lift. Otherwise, the water can just go around the bubbles.
2 bubbles.
There were 2 holes, but even the 2 holes in the 3/4 inch pipe didn't work as well as one hole and 1/2" CPVC. So the best mix we found was what we're using now, and that's half-inch CPVC and a single bubbler. That works really well. I mean, we can lift probably 6 inches off of the top of the water, which is fine for what we're doing.
Yeah.
Advanced kind of bubble pump that we built at one time. So you have a pipe coming in the bottom, a pipe coming in the top, and you can see that there's a little bit of a gap in between, and the gap is mostly towards the bottom. And what happens is these two lines are pushing air in, and so what would happen is this would be submerged under the water. The water would, of course, fill to the top here. These air lines would start pushing water in, and the air would create this pocket that was going down and down and down and down, and then it would get all the way down here, and a big slug of air would come through, and whenever that air went actually into the pipe, it would try to rise back up, and it would rise all the way to the top of the water. But whatever water was inside of there that got behind that big slug of air would get pushed up. And so this actually is it's like a more advanced bubble pump, but it's more complicated to build. This one was working really well. But the problem was that you really have to have it under about this much water. You have to have it under quite a bit of water, and so it didn't fit in the aquarium. But if we had a deeper, aquarium or something I need to pump water further, this would actually work really well. This was an old Cairo syrup bottle, they're super hard, so the air could never expand it. So that worked pretty well. We'll put a link to one of those if you want to see that. Okay, so this was a filter that we had tried at one point, and so whenever the water was coming from the perlite over back into the aquarium, we found that we'd get a lot of little chunks of sometimes dirt and stuff from the roots. One of the first things we did is we tried to put some dirt in the perlite, and we realized you can't do that. You have to get all the dirt off the roots. When we first started that, we thought, well, we'll just filter the water before it goes back to the aquarium. And so this was actually sheep's wool that we had around from shearing our sheep. Yeah. And so we put it inside of there, and then we put some holes in the bottom so that the dirty water could go into this, and then it would just filter through. Well, what we found was that there was so much dirt that this got clogged up really fast, so it didn't work very well. Really, the best filter is the big tub of perlite with all the plants. The plants' roots are the best filter that you have, and so there really isn't a need to have any other kind of filter other than just those plants' roots. It's nature's filter. It's what really works well.